Destiny 2's Season of the Witch released yesterday, and boy did it start off strong. In order to revive Savathun, we need to deal with her sister. And how does Eris do that? By becoming a Hive god herself. Today we are going to discuss the events of Week 1 and Eris Morn's journey to godhood.
Don't look so sour. You've already got everything you need. I suggest you start with a witch of your own.
Season of the Witch begins with a new mission. Ikora and Eris found Amaru, but he won't bring back Savathun yet. Of course, it couldn't be that simple. What we have to do first is get rid of the thorn in our side, Xivu Arath. Savathun made a plan for us before her death, and we head into the throne world to find it.
I don't like this. Resurrecting Savathun, using her magic. This is exactly what we wanted to avoid.
The Witch Queen knew she could entice us with a common goal. Removing the threat of Xivu Arath.
Yeah. And she knew the Vanguard had a little Hive acolyte of their own. That's why she's opening up her spire. She thinks you've got what it takes.
Guardian, channel your magic with the witch's staff. You now wield Hive magic, and have entwined it with your light.
Traversing her secret spire by using Hive magic of our own, we clear the way for Eris Morn. Savathun tells us that you can't simply face her sister, you must become Hive yourself to outmaneuver her. Something Eris is willing to do, something Savathun knew Eris would do.
You've accepted my proposal. We have mutual interests after all, despite our bad blood. You might not believe me, but I love my sister. But to us Hive, love is death. No one knows more about killing her than I do.
Savathun planned for this moment.
She knew the Guardian would end up here eventually. Eris Morn in tow.
Xivu Arath can't be confronted. That's what she wants, and she always gets exactly what she wants. So spoiled, so loved. You'll have to find another way. Only her equal could ever have a hope of overcoming the threat of my sister's war march. Only a Hive.
So, it rests with me.
Eris?
Savathun speaks of the sword logic.
No, we can't play the Hive God's games.
And yet we must. Xivu Arath draws strength from our conflict. She believes her logic absolute. I will grasp it and contravene its power. There is no other way.
Will you come back from this?
Does it matter if I do? What I am has served me, and has served humanity. Aka, Zita, Sel.
This is what Savathun wants.
We serve our interests, not Savathun's.
She's outmaneuvered you again. You need me.
We need your silence. Do not be afraid. Bear witness to my sublimation. I separate the true from the dead. I am the many-mouthed hunger. I am the knife-edged truth. I devour the free. I conspire with my vengeance. I will take what I need. The words in my throat are the weapon in my fist. Hayat! Hayat! Hayat!
Knife-edged truth. Bring me your tithes.
So Eris Morn has become Hive. Although her human form still exists to some extent, she's not fully compromised, at least yet. The Hive have taken so much from Eris, and now out of vengeance she will take from them, take from us. The sword logic is the process the Hive use. It is of darkness, and for the Hive they must consume to feed their worm and become more powerful. As they kill, each Hive takes a bit of what they need to survive to feed their worm, and then they tithe the rest to those higher than them. For example, thralls will tithe to acolytes, then acolytes up to knights, and the list continues. This is how the Hive prove how strong they are. Oryx killed his sisters, proving he was strong. He was capable then of killing Akka the worm god, which allowed him to speak to the deep and the witness presumably. So for this new season, we will be Eris's acolyte. We will kill and tithe all of our power through death to her so she can become stronger and defeat Xivu, like Oryx once did.
Guardian, though my form twists in this rune-bound circle, I remain Eris Morn, given not to the deep, but to vengeance. The Hive have taken much from me. By naming the worms, I have taken from them, and I must take from you. The splinter of Hive worm rests in your staff. It is enough to bind us and mark you as my acolyte. By the sword logic of the Hive, your conquests strengthen me. You must tithe mightily if I am to become strong enough to defeat Xivu Arath. She draws power from all conflict. She is the blade breaker, war, drinker, conqueror, immortal. Hayat, drown her in blood. Add your voice to the chorus of violence. Let us show her what it is to be Hive.
Our splinter of Hive worm and the magic staff we now wield is enough to tithe this power to Eris. Next we head to the Oubliette, a prison Savathun constructed to experiment on different enemies after she acquired the light. In here we can gather all the tribute we want, empower Eris until she's ready.
Do you feel it? The latent power of the Witch Queen's spellcraft. Finalize the ritual to complete the summoning. Your tides flow through me like a surge of hot blood. Your arcane skill expands with each ritual you complete. Our powers will grow in tandem until we are ready to challenge the god of war herself.
So this is something that's been building for a very long time. We've always made jokes that Eris Morn was Savathun, or Eris was secretly undercover and working for the Hive. I don't know how undercover she could be given she had the 3 Hive eyes, but you get the idea. Eris has been a master in Hive texts and rituals since she crawled out of the pit on the moon, and it was all for this reason. The Hive took from her and her fire team. We saw this trauma in expansions like Shadowkeep, and now she will have her vengeance, becoming one of their own to destroy them.
In the name of retribution for the lost, Bell, Floriana, Oma, Sai, and Torin. Tithe unto me, acolyte. Ayat.
Guardian, the value of the magic you've unearthed here is undeniable. But watching you and Eris revel in violence, tithing with Hive rituals. It was disturbing.
Like it or not, your witch is gonna need a lot more tithes before she's powerful enough to challenge Xivu.
Now I'm gonna make a video discussing Eris's most influential moments dealing with the Hive and when this plot of vengeance began, but that's the basis. Eris Morn is that forgotten blade sharpened anew. Ikora feels wrong about this transformation of Eris, but in the end of this week she sees it must be right, it must be the only way to proceed. Here is the holoprojector audio from her and then the terminal from Eris.
It's hard not to feel that this is my responsibility. While we in the tower gathered intel and debated over what action to take next, Eris threw herself into a dangerous ritual of her own devising. She was audacious. And she was right. We had to accept Savathun's bargain. We must pursue the witness at any cost. But I didn't imagine we would risk Eris in the exchange. She remains herself. I recognize Eris when I look into her eyes. She wears her new form like a suit of armor, but she speaks of whispers calling to her from the deep, and I have no assurance she can resist them forever. You must embrace the Hive rituals as she did. Offer your tithes so that she may gain the power she desires, and quickly. Commit yourself to her guardian. I believe it is in everyone's best interest to keep her metamorphosis as brief as possible.
Hive magic reveals itself in precise shapes. They follow the same lines and the same means. And yet our rituals still hold many secrets. Cards have scattered in the wake of your oblations. Our bond made manifest. I call them the deck of whispers. And they do whisper. Each of their ideograms appears to carry the weight of symbolism. Do not fault them for the forms they take. They are reflections of the real, and as opaque as the natures of their referent. We will interpret their configurations, divine their use. They may hold many meanings, alone and in conversation. As with all Hive magic, they ask us to separate the true from the dead. We will do so.
The new book for this week's story seems to be Rites of Passage, and we get the process entry this week where Saint 14 and Osiris discuss Savathun's return and how it's wrong. Saint 14 and Osiris sat across from each other at a rough wooden table, focused on the array of wires, struts, and braces spread out before them. Mithrax had mentioned that his splicer gauntlet had been causing his arm to go numb, and Saint's overeager offer of assistance had turned into an evening of frustratingly meticulous tinkering. Mithrax had politely excused himself hours ago, but Saint and Osiris were so focused on their discussion of Savathun's bargain they hardly noticed. "We don't have a choice," Osiris said, threading a wire through the lacy trills of the tiny ether converter. "The future the witness is crafting beyond that portal is more terrible than we could dream. Anything is preferential to that." "Anything but her," Saint grumbled. "Even her," Osiris said defiantly. "If Savathun knows how to pursue the witness, and there is little reason to doubt that she does, we must work with her. There is no other way." With an Exo's patient precision, Saint straightened a row of metal pins. "I do not know how you can say that, after everything." Osiris raised his eyebrows. "I'm a beacon of forgiveness," he said, but the words soured on his tongue. "So you forgive her?" Saint didn't need to look up from his work. "No," Osiris said quietly. He aligned a metal tab with its slot and pressed it into place, waiting to hear it click. It didn't come. "The truth is," Osiris said, "I hardly think of her at all." Saint looked at him flatly, but Osiris shrugged, his face open. "I know how it sounds. I have acknowledged what happened and moved on, I suppose. I am here, alive with you. They say that's the best revenge, don't they?" Saint coiled a stubborn spring and prepared to slide it into a support brace. Is it revenge to allow the Violator to avoid accountability? The Violator is dead, Osiris said wryly, and will live again if Eris and the Guardians fulfill this prophecy of prediction. The spring shot from between Saint's fingers, or whatever Savathun wants to call this new trick. Osiris heard the spring clatter in the corner near the kitchen and rose wordlessly to hunt for it. Saint sighed. I do not know how you can be so calm, he said. You sometimes act as you do not remember what she did to you. I remember it all, he said softly, without turning away from the corner. I remember being helpless. The words caught in his throat. Saint pushed his chair back and stood, but Osiris was already back at the table, a dusty spring in the center of his palm. There is still fury inside me, he said. Fury that I will probably carry forever. I acknowledge it, but I do not let it consume me. I control it, and I take strength from that. Osiris placed the spring on the table and sat back down. Saint moved to his side. Denying your emotions is not strength, Saint said carefully. I admit that, if I could, I'd change what happened, Osiris said. But not if doing so changed where it led me. Osiris reached out and gave Saint a half embrace around the hips. Have we finished talking about this now? Osiris asked, and Saint heard the rawness in his voice. Saint kissed the top of Osiris's head and sat back down. It would have to be enough. So there you go, Guardians, week 1 of Season of the Witch. I gotta admit, I didn't expect Eris Morn becoming a Hive god to be in the deck of cards Bungie had in their hand, but in week 1 things are very interesting. I want to see where this goes. Are we going to get some more missions to explain how this is going to happen? Do we just continuously jump into that oubliette activity? I guess we'll have to wait and see. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.